Right, it is actually 7:30, so we'll start the meeting. And welcome back after the summer break. It seems a long time since the third but lots happened since then. I'd particularly like to give thanks from all of us at the Parish Council to those who tidied up the village and helped us win the best kept village competition in our class. We've been runners-up before, but I think this is the first time we've won it. I don't know if Ian, is right, Ian, yeah. There's a resolution tonight about how we're going to receive the award because that's here. A shield and a sign to go up. On tonight's agenda, we've got one planning application at 3 Bens Close, a listed planning consent application for internal work at 6 South Street, an application for the discharge of planning conditions in the station yard, and a tree conservation application at Maltings Farm. Now, I thought I would just say that the term S106 is going to come up a number of times tonight. Section 106 of the Town Country Planning Act 1990 allows a local planning authority like Milton Keynes City Council to enter into an agreement or planning obligation as part of the granting of planning permission. This can be financial or non-financial, but there are things that a large development must do to make it acceptable. There are many categories. So, for example, if you build houses, you need to make a contribution to education facilities, health facilities, highways, libraries, and also to local amenities. This applied to the new Carrington Grove estate, and the developer paid money to MKCC in a number of categories last November. So, Hanslope Surgery has applied for its part of the funding for some extension work, and Hanslope and Castlethorpe Parish councillors who work with the surgery are being kept informed, and indeed there's a meeting tomorrow that Jack is going to attend on our behalf. Indeed, some previous S106 funding was actually used to retarmac the car park there. It was necessary a few years ago. Tonight there's a resolution to support an application by the school to use their S106 funding to convert and extend some of their buildings at the rear. And there's also a resolution to support the shop association, which wants to extend the shop using the village amenities category. I'll be declaring an interest for that resolution as I'm one of the directors of the shop association, and I will speak myself in the open forum because I'll have to step outside when it comes to be discussed as a resolution. I will be giving an update on the proposed clubhouse project, though spoiler alert, we aren't quite ready to award a contract yet. There are also resolutions to remove the old propane tank up there and work on the football pavilion, and finally one to consider support for the Stop 3,000 Trucks campaign. In part 2, where there is some commercial confidentiality, there are some quotes for some tree work in Castle Field. The Parish Council is only responsible for trees on the ground that we own. We do own Castle Field, so that is down to us. Most of the rest of the trees are the responsibility of Milton Keynes. For a floodgate, which we'll hopefully acquire on behalf of Milton Keynes Council and be reimbursed, and some quotes associated with the clubhouse, though, as I say, no award of contract will be made tonight. Last little point I wanted to say by way of introduction, and there's already been a bit of discussion amongst us as we were getting ready, is that the new bin collections start on this coming Friday. And it is with the recycling of glass and cartons and so on, not the paper one that needs to be put out. I hope I'm right. Steve looks a bit askance there.
It tells you on top of the bin. Yeah. I'm going to have to read my bin to find out which way around it goes.
But I am aware, certainly 2 residents have contacted me to say they haven't received their bins, and Jackie's told me of a number of others. So I have, someone's got theirs down.
It's my son.
You're at, 925.
So, I mean, in the first place, if you could contact Milton Keynes Council, but if not, I will write, and I'll write it for you.
If you would,
Yeah. Glenville Farm. There's another 3. But let me know, and they've got a kind of snagging list that is trying to pick up. First, it's got me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute. I can't see how to do it. Anyway, so I will write anyway to Penny Fletcher and let her know. She gave me an immediate response on the to the previous 2 that I sent in, saying they'll be picked up under snagging. So that should happen. Right. So that's what I wanted to say by way of introduction. Are there any questions in the open forum?
I've seen the meeting, so I think we can talk about it all bits and bobs by me.
Yeah. A villager, and I think we'll probably guess who it is, have noticed that the next incarnation of Plan MK will be inspected in 2024, which is pretty close. And I'm conscious that we know nothing about whether there'll be any new land allocated. We suspect that Milton Keynes Council have been talking to landowners and developers. I'm not sure whether they've approached parish and town councils as yet, but if there is to be a version that's actually going for inspection in 2024, that's not that far away. So really, we need to know what is likely to be in that and what are the milestones leading up to the inspection. And I think we need to know that pretty clearly.
Right. Shall I was going to ask ward councillors anyway to, when they gave their report, if they do that.
Yeah.
And also because you would not be surprised to know that almost certainly the same resident also rang me. And I did suggest to him that we put it as a standing item on the clerk's report, just to remind us to discuss it every month. The ward councillors can report on it anyway, but just to let you know that there was a meeting that was held by Milton Keynes Council quite appallingly with developers to discuss the new city plan. The parishes, and you know, you're not to be surprised to know that I was quite vociferous on this at the parishes forum, made a big fuss about it. And there is going to be a conference being held in November by MALC, at which Andrew Turner, the planning manager responsible for this, is the star turn. Now, there was a planning session which I wasn't able to attend. There's another one tomorrow, actually, which is why I can't get up to the Hanslope surgery thing. But at that one, or immediately following it, MKCC Planning then announced they were going to hold their own conference, which you will know, and they're holding it, I think, on the first Monday in October, in the evening. To which I have asked Jackie to reply, pointing out, A, I hope that's going to be recorded, but B, I think there's at least 3 parishes in our ward that hold, in our ward alone, that hold their meetings on the first Monday of the month. And it really is a pretty poor choice of day.
Yeah, they should avoid Mondays because that's irrespective of whether it's Thursday, second, third or fourth. There's usually parish council, town council meeting on Monday.
That's right. So that's where that is. So there are 2 events. I did actually think, with a glint of wickedness in my eye, of inviting the resident who rang you and me to represent the parish council at that session, because we can't go.
Yeah.
So I mean, What would councillors think of that? I think that's a very good idea. Right, okay, I will contact them. In fact, I think, Jackie, you and I, there probably ought to be a note from you saying that in view of the fact they've chosen this date, when the council can't meet, we're going to send a representative.
But can we get this inspection date confirmed? Because like I say, in terms of something like Plan MK, that isn't very far.
No, it's not. Board councillors, have you got anything to?
I mean, I haven't been given a date yet on when to inspect, but I think I heard it was going to be in 2025. So,
I mean, we received an official briefing tomorrow, in advance of the meeting in October, which we're also invited to. So it'll probably be less, at least one more council that day, so at least one of us is there.
Yeah.
One of us is here.
Yeah.
and yeah, we've got one tomorrow, so I hope we'll have a bit more information after. This is our first briefing session.
So there's nothing out there about it at all.
Not-
So not even what the aims of this version are.
I'm hoping that's what tomorrow's session will be on. It's a couple tomorrow, so if we get any information on dates.
I mean, one very interesting thing is what the term of the plan will be, because the current plan goes to 2031. I know they're thinking about trying to get to 500,000 people by 2050. But whether the next, that's a very long local plan. I mean, that is 26 years or 25 years, depending on when they make it. And they don't, I mean, normally they're 10 to 15 years. So anyway, there we go. All right, well, thank you. And perhaps we'll get feedback, perhaps a little bit at the next meeting. But as I said, unfortunately, that would be coincident with this other one.
If you wouldn't mind giving us a quick summary of the keynotes from the session tomorrow.
Right. In that case, if I can, in this open forum, I think Steve will move the resolution, but I can't read it. There's a resolution to support the shop association extending the shop. This is not financially, this is just morally and ethically, and you'll see the bottom. And there is a briefing paper in the panel. It is, as we all know, very successful, but particularly in recent years, Udi and Dina have suffered a huge level of wastage of their outside fruit and veg. It's been very cold in the winter, and it's frozen and nipped a lot of their stuff. And in the summer, they're losing it as well. And they'd like to avoid that wastage by having some form of extension at the front. One of the provisions in the S106 agreement was towards enhancements to the existing community facilities. It talks about some things that we've done, like village displays and the village clock, and other, but also village hall installation boarding, but also buildings for the village shop. And that minimises the impact or mitigates the impact of the development within Castlethorpe. And the total sum of the money is £63,000. And we'd like to use that money for a front extension to the shop. In outline, just to let you know what is being thought about, it would be an extension from the current entrance coming forward from the building, more or less into the building line formed by the side of Udi and Dina's house next door, and number 1, the Chestnuts, which is also set forward. So it's that to that building line. It would be a roofed ridge, a ridged roof running back into the existing one. And the entrance would actually be moved to where there's a very high level window on the front at the moment. That will be made into the entrance, and then this one will all be enclosed. Criteria, of course, is very important that it stays open right through these works, which is going to be the tricky bit. The extension will, of course, be dependent on the front garden of 6 the Chestnuts being transferred to the Parish Council. Mainly board council support for that. I have been chasing for about 5 years. So, we're not yet in sort of Milton Keynes action, ready for action yet. in fairness, it originally stopped for reasons I won't go into, but I restarted at the beginning of this year when we knew the Test 106 money was coming. I've had a reasonably good engagement with one of the asset managers there, Paul Freeman, and I had an exchange with him on the 27th of July. He said that the surveyor was going to contact me about the transfer, and I chased him again last week, and he said he would chase the surveyor. So hopefully that's going along. We've got an architect about to be commissioned by CVSA, and we're putting in an S106 application. That requires support of the parish council and support of the city councillors, and all 3 city councillors have sent their support through, which I forwarded on to Sharon Price. So there are 2 parts to the resolution. To support the transfer of the parked garden to the parish council. If you remember, the original garden, I mean, Ian was there at the time. The original land on which the shop is built was transferred by Maltings Council to the parish council for £1, I think it was, from trivial commercial sum. So I think it is cleanest if this next bit of land is transferred to the parish council rather than to CVSA. And then to support the CVSA application to draw upon the S106 funds. For that, I've asked for a resolution there so that we can send that, or Jackie can send that resolution on to Sharon Price to confirm that. There are not expected to be any costs to the parish council, I repeat, from this work. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
One question, Phil, and is just a slight extension. We are to comment that if we are short of the amount of money we need from the S106 funding, have you got any thoughts on where? Because obviously the club's on where additional funds would be for the shop.
Yeah. CVSA has got some funds of its own as well, which I mean, they were originally sinking funds for all the equipment, but the equipment doesn't seem to be sinking. So, well, basically it's being repaired as we go along. So the board of CVSA has agreed to allow, a chunk of that to be used should it go over. I should say that the architects that we met for a preliminary brief thought it'd be a bit north of 50,000. So 63, ought to be doable, but of course you've got to fit out as well.
And what about the cost of the land?
Well, this is where we make,
This is where we go. This is where the strings have got to be pulled.
Yeah. Well, there are
originally it was we got the shop for £1, and there was initially a for, and we were going to give £1 or £10, and then somebody up there decided that wasn't going to happen. And then we've had no ever since.
Anyway, I mean, that did go across. I mean, we may need help. I mean, you are right, and I will ask the board councillors, but this is effectively from one council to another. The land should have very little value. You can't really do anything else with it. So I'm hoping that they will pass it across.
You'd hope so. That's common sense.
Yeah. There you go. Right. In that case, I will move on into the meeting proper, start the meeting. So apologies from absence by way for Dave Hines, Councillor Hines, by way of a family issue, and Councillor Forgem by way of holiday. Declarations of interest in any of the items, so I need to declare an interest in 7.8. Are there any other declarations of interest?
Not sure, I don't know.
Agree the minutes of the previous meeting of the 3rd of July as an accurate record.
Both
that. No amendments. Yeah. Okay, and Kay has seconded that, and we're all in favour, yes. So receive reports, so the clerk's report. There's quite a lot of meat in here. We probably do need to start slimming it down a bit.
I've got a couple of things to report. One of them is the Network Rail of static holiday homes travelling over the 5-ton gross vehicle weight limit bridge.
Which one is this?
This is number 10.
Number 10. Solar panel devices have been ordered.
There's two going down in the last fortnight.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
They have actually turned the sign sideways so that drivers wouldn't see that there's a 5-ton gross vehicle weight limit on the bridge. They've now been turned back around so the drivers can see them. I don't know who's done that. But I sent an email around earlier today saying that there's someone, only for some reason, Network Rail have actually come to the conclusion that that bridge is not right to take more than 5 tons gross weight. I mean, I have no idea what an Arctic with one of these homes on is, but that's more like 40.
The thing is, you've got to be careful, is John Holmes will carting corn, etc. You'll have 20 ton of corn.
Yeah,
So
but Ian, if a bridge has got, if they've assessed the bridge as not being safe over that weight,
Yeah.
whether it's corn or whether it's that caravan, it shouldn't be going across.
Yeah. I mean, thank you very much, Steve, for chasing this one down. I saw the response that you got. As you said, I mean, as we have said, because Ian has been raising this for years. As you said, you know, we have done now everything that we possibly can as a parish council. If there should be a problem with that bridge, then I think it has to be full square on Network Rail. And actually, I wouldn't mind this being recorded formally in the minutes, actually. Yeah, you could write that in because it is, if anyone comes back.
Yeah, I made that point in the email, that if anything did happen, then people are going to be told that it's full Network Rail and they've done nothing.
Well, that's why I think it's prudent to put it into the minutes. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got one, sorry to I've got one on number 18, and that's the state of the Thrale area and the recreation area at the top of Carrington Road, between Carrington Road and Paddock Close.
17.
With 18 on here.
17. Anyway,
anyway, we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Kay's tried to contact them, Jackie's tried to contact them, I've tried to contact them. There is no doubt whatsoever that there was a condition raised on the application to actually agree the landscaping and soft landscaping schedule, which they put one in that said nothing about aftercare. We complained and they put in a revised version which said that they were going to maintain those areas, and the boundaries clearly marked around it.
Is this around the swale?
It's around the swale and the recreation area over that. But I mean, the ditch is another matter. The ditch is blocked, and so is the culvert down the bottom end of Carrington Road.
Be maintained down by the ditch on the housing side. Down there.
It's all stone.
That's all stone as well, because that's as well. The whole lot's just terrible.
I mean, the area at the bottom of Carrington Road was meant to be planted to grass.
I mean, basically, the response, the area was meant to be landscaped. It hasn't been, nor has it been maintained. And this was a planning condition. And therefore, you know,
I've raised
now raising that as a
20 days, they say there was one, because it's number 3 as an tidy land.
I'm expecting that in public interest to do anything about it, in which case you really need our councillors to jump up and down.
Try.
Well, let's see what.
But now it's in the right place. It's the Milton Keynes Council. I can't give you a reference number because they don't put that on the acknowledgement they give you when you complete the report. But I did copy you guys in the email.
Right.
Just for the original contract, when Stonewater bought it, that they were to keep the upkeep with the swale and any drainage, etc.
It's in there,
Yeah.
it's a condition.
Yeah, no, it is, yeah.
And they bought it.
The
So
re-
they bought it off Carrington.
Well, look,
Breach
I
of
mean, I think we're all pushing an open door here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, we know they're meant to have done it.
Yeah.
They can't do it despite our earnest efforts to do it nicely. So you've raised it with planning enforcement.
Yeah.
And if planning enforcement, give you the runaround, then we'll ask, ward councillors to raise it as casework.
20 days.
I suspect it's
All right.
one rather than this.
Anything else? There is an issue here on point 12 on the on the clerk's report, the first section, about what's going to happen with the village hall rubbish. Did you ever get a reply from Kevin Wilson?
No, I haven't. No, he said it was still being finalised and isn't come back since.
When did he, do I need, because I know Kevin, I mean, do you want me to
I
chase?
forwarded the email.
Yeah.
last
Yeah, if you would.
two
I mean,
weeks
I'm
ago.
happy to chase it. I mean, basically, the deal was that we had someone go around, well, they weren't emptying the litter bins very often. So we did a deal where somebody, and it happened to be Jackie's son, before Jackie was clerk, I hasten to add,
Yeah.
went round the village and was not paid to collect all the empty all the litter bins, put new liners in, bring it back. We built, the parish council built an enclosure just outside that door, a little low wooden one. The bags were put in there and then the bin man collects it every Friday. Now they're saying, no, you've now got to arrange for a commercial contract. That is going to be very expensive, I think. In fact, I think probably what people will do, given relatively low use of the village hall at the moment, put it in a black bag and shove it into one of the litter bins. Because, you know, you're not going to go into a commercial contract, are we? Or are we?
Yeah.
I mean, does anyone want to say anything on this before we?
I mean, surely it's a general concept across Milton Keynes Council. I mean, there are public litter bins in every town and parish. And I mean, I know we've got this arrangement that we clear our own bins because they don't do it as frequently as we'd like. But what are they doing about public bins in general? A bit late in the day to.
No, this isn't a public bin. I mean, basically, if you're a commercial organisation, you have to pay for commercial disposal of your waste. And village halls fall into that category.
So what are they doing for the public litter bins? Because
No, public litter bins are now all being emptied weekly under the new contract.
are they? Right, so this is just for the village hall rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you've got a hand, so they've got a big wheelie bin up there.
Yeah, but I suspect their village hall, particularly at the moment,
Oh, yeah.
has got more use than
Yeah,
than
lots of
ours
trucks.
does. Yeah, and. Okay, well,
Sorry.
we'll just have to make sure that people do dispose of rubbish, take their rubbish home with them, basically. I mean, that's going to be the message.
Otherwise, charge them.
Can you pass that to Russell for when he gets back, that the village hall committee will need to let hirers know that they'll need to dispose of their own rubbish from now on.
Did not a charge be made.
Yeah.
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 Charge.
Well-
The other thing on the clerk's report is I haven't been with Michael to see about the floodlight and the seats cropped up outside the bush out here, which I've got them before, so I'm trying to get hold of Michael this week so we can go and have a look up
I
there.
wonder if he's away because
Is he?
I don't know, but he normally replies very quickly.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Okay, just running down the list, I mean, I think perhaps offline we can perhaps not have all of these on the list, but let's not go through them now. We'll spend the whole meeting doing this. I would just a couple of things. Darren, is anything happening with the AEDs? Sorry?
Chase Richard, I need to have another phone conversation with the people who supply the EVs forward. I've chased Richard as well, and I've not heard anything back from him.
Okay. For residents, this is about maintenance and training on the defibrillators that we've got. And we're hoping that that training session.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
No,
we really could do, yeah.
I was just looking, I'm just chasing Richard again, actually, because he's not responded.
He's on
A
holiday.
couple of times.
Is it?
I think
Okay,
he's on holiday.
right.
But it's just a couple of times over the summer, right?
I mean, we have agreed to make the donation,
Yeah.
everybody, so that should get on. And the last one for, just to note that the redwood tree should be being planted on the triangle this autumn. Milton Keynes Council have invoiced us for the donation that Marcia Jordan very kindly gave to us in memory of Vic to get a larger tree there. So we've been invoiced, we just now need to chase Milton Keynes Council to do that.
So they're paying the rest.
Sorry, they pay the rest, yeah. Well, they pay their standard tree bit, which is about £300, but you only get a little one for that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know, Chris, there was an action on you. I don't know if you saw it about looking into the reasons why transport delivery plans weren't included as a condition on the recently committed Cosgrove planning application. You probably haven't missed that one, but
Yeah, I thought that one was already resolved a while ago, like the checking my emails.
yeah, if you could, just let Jackie know, that'd be handy. Put it on the next report. That's great. Right, on that basis, then, if we now move toward councillors' report.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention the new city plan meeting tomorrow, but we're going to discuss that. So the other big thing is obviously the bins that was mentioned. So I've had regular meetings with Waste about this, and they've actually been very productive and quite good on the whole. They've said if anybody hasn't got their bins by Friday, put your bags out as you usually would, and they will collect them. Because they understand that there might be some people that they've missed for whatever reason. They've tried to catch up with everyone, but if you haven't got your bins by Friday, they will take you out.
Okay,
So what gets me over these bins is you go down Maltings Close, because the lad in the middle can't get around the back, etc. They said you've still got to do bags, so they're always got to go down there and do the bins, and one eg's got bags.
yeah, I know. I mean, it is annoying, and I have to say, you know, I repeat that I think it is, they've been very inflexible in some places, and there are some houses in Front Coast that I know, I mean, elsewhere, where people have basically got no choice except to put their bins in front of them. I mean, it's just very unsightly. Anyway. Right, let's, anything else?
We've already covered the planning, we've already covered the bins. Of course, if anyone, any residents need our help, we're more than happy to oblige and help out where needed.
Yeah.
Where needed. In terms of what we've got coming up, we've got full council next week. That full council does include the making of the Haversham Parish Council's neighbourhood plan, which, as you know, they've put a lot of work into, and was very democratically voted through by referendum with a turnout of what, 43%?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite high turnout for neighbourhood plans. Other than that, there's a couple of motions, one to do with saving ticketing booths in Wolverton, Bletchley train stations, and another one to do with, was it pet cost of living crisis? Pets, yeah, the pets.
What was that, sorry?
Pets cost of living crisis.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pet food bank, I think. Or
Yeah.
pet bank, something like that. And then the other thing is, we'll also have the return of war budgets. So
Yes.
have to get thinking in terms of what you want from us.
Well, I think by the time we've got through what we've got to get through, we're going to be very poor. So getting more budgets will be greatly appreciated, actually. Okay, that's very good. Thank you for that. Right, clubhouse progress. Let me give the report on that. So I did write a report at the end of July, and that did go on the village website and also in the edition of Castlethorpe News. Because I was away on holiday in August, I had to write the report early, and of course that was an awful long time in project terms. So my report, which has only just been published in the news, is a little bit out of date. But I did give the results of the parish poll, which was overwhelmingly in favour of proceeding with the clubhouse, and said the planning permission had been given by MKCC, and that the use of the S106 funds, which is about £185,000, had also been given by MKCC. A project board has been established, which consists of Luke Jeffries, who is a professional construction project manager, Ian Horn, who works in housing, Lawrence Chapman, who's got a lot of experience of this, David Spinelli from the Cricket Club, Jackie and Parish Councillor Steve, Darren and me. We also had help with the plan from Dan McGee. He's dropped out of the project now, but frankly, we wouldn't have been able to get the drawings done without him. It's a huge, huge help. It has been decided to split the project into 2 phases. The first would convert the pavilion, creating the sort of changing or larger changing rooms and toilet facilities, and constructing but not equipping the clubhouse. And that would allow the pavilion works to be completed before the start of the 2024 cricket season in April. The second phase is to equip the shell that's built in phase 1, the shell of the clubhouse, and would require us to obtain grants. And obviously you can't start phase 2 until we built the building. So, and that won't be until next April. So that does give us some time to get the grants raised and to get a contractor on side. On the basis of an estimate that had been prepared for us by a quantity surveyor, we believe we'd had almost enough funding to complete phase 1. Although we would need either a grant or a loan to do so. As it happens, the grant applications currently in progress can't be used for construction and extensions, though they can be used for equipping. And hence you'll see a resolution to take out a loan from the Public Works loan body, which lends money at low interest rates to us. You'll see a resolution for that. The invitations to tender were published at the beginning of July on the government website. There are particular government regulations that say how we have to proceed on this, and this went onto the so-called Find a Tender website, and we did receive a number of tenders. And that was by 11th of August, which was the deadline. Perhaps not entirely surprising, they did exceed the initial estimate. And so it's not been possible, for the project board simply to select one and to make a recommendation to us at the Parish Council. A number of discussions with suppliers took place in August, and the project board has now shortlisted down to 3 suppliers, which is the minimum we're allowed to do. And face-to-face meetings are taking place with them this week. And assuming we can match the scope of work in phase 1, so some work may get moved to phase 2, then an extraordinary meeting will have to be held to award the contract. So I would like to get it done before our next meeting on the 2nd of October, isn't it? 2nd or 3rd. I have to say, if we can't do this, then we will have to defer the project until we can get the grant funding in place, which will cause difficulties. But let's hope that the meetings that we've got this week will be successful in matching the scope and the funding. So that's the question. I can't go too far into amounts of money for obvious commercial reasons. But are there any questions anyone would like to raise? Okay. Let's move on then into planning applications. 6 South Street. This is a listed building consent. I noticed that Conservation have expressed no objection, and it basically reinstates the original building that was split back into one. Any questions? Anyone want to raise any potential objections to this?
No.
No objection. 5.2, 3 Ben's Close, which is we did have a discussion on this. In fact, I thought this was closing before.
We were all fine with it.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first time it's come up this meeting.
No, it's the first time it came up. Sorry, it was circulated by email just to see if anyone wants to call an extraordinary meeting. But anyway, be that as it may, it's obviously not on email.
You did have.
There are some issues with this application, mainly from a Network Rail, who are insisting on the construction not being nearer than 3 meters to the edge of the railway boundary, which I do find, you know, rather odd given the earlier discussion we had about the bridge. Anyway, there you go. And of course, ecology had come back about bats because it is a bat area, so they will have to do some work there.
I think that's been requested by another resident, the bat thing.
Yeah.
Because it's all.
Well, if bats are reported, as we found in townhouse, you just have to do it. And it's not that onerous or expensive, but you do have to get on with it. One resident has written a letter of objection, mainly because of the visual impact on them. It's a neighbour. But otherwise, can I ask if any councillor would like to put forward any?
What happens to the plans? I've got to get it put in the plans.
Yeah.
Is to put an extension on the side of the
Yeah,
house to make it into a proper residence, to be honest.
This is
It's
the-
very, very small house.
Yeah. I don't know how we do this, Ian, because these plans are ever so big.
Is it too big for this? What if you got that side there and it's putting that side there, that side on the side? Is it over the top of what is allowed by the planning people?
Well, planning will decide on that. It is a large extension. It's to the rear of number 4, isn't it? Sorry, this is number 3. So it's this is the one nearest to railway.
Yeah.
And it is a big extension, but effectively it infills. It's to the rear and side of it. I don't know. I mean,
if you go down the road, there's no impact on this, because once you have to look, there's trees there, and I looked at the light, and the light coming down, and the sun was actually setting. This is the middle of summer, and it hadn't actually reached that area yet, so there would be no impact there.
well, look, I mean, has anyone got an objection?
No.
All right, no objection noted. Old station yard, this is discharge of conditions, but I notice that Milton Keynes departments have put forward quite a few objections on sewage treatment and surface water treatment. So, I mean, this is very technical stuff, and I don't think it's really particularly for us. But does anyone want to propose any objections?
What's that?
It's surface. It's to do with the disposal of surface water, and it's Milton Keynes Council as the LLF, lead local flood authority or something, have put in objections to this. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, I've always asked from the beginning where the stormwater going, then I've never had an answer.
Yeah. Well, Milton
As
Keynes.
long as you don't put it down that heritage zone,
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
Well, Milton Keynes Council will decide on that, but at the moment they're not happy with the response that they're getting from Simon Hill.
No.
Are they ever going to be finished? Are they ever going to be finished?
Yeah. Well, we wish they would. So no objection.
Yeah.
5.4 is a tree in a conservation area, a crown reduction. Well, I have to say, if any of you looked at the photograph that was attached to the application, I mean, they ought to have taken that down a long time ago. It's virtually growing into the house next door. I mean, it's not just overhanging it.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Anyway, any objections there?
No.
No. All right, so no objections. Any comments on section 6?
Somewhere.
Permitted,
It was
Permitted, yeah.
yeah,
One Walton Road, 6A.
Yeah, permitted now.
permitted in.
Is the third pits?
Doesn't say anything in there about the trees they're supposed to do too. Well-established trees are supposed to be put in.
Yeah, I think they've got a,
Well, yeah.
in their planning permission, it was conditioned that they put in trees. They haven't actually finished yet, so, you know, I imagine they'll want to get heavy equipment off site before they put trees.
This is the birthday pits
Yeah.
development, so yes, I've got
7.1 is
6.1.
6.1.
Yeah, I've got a huge objection to that, on loads and loads of different grounds.
Right.
Ecology,
Well, look,
sustainability,
yeah.
the whole.
The thing is about it, okay, is it's been before us before, and we put in an objection. At the time, it was mostly on the basis of highways. This is the West Northants for to relieve our board council, mostly on highways. The lady came, I think you invited a lady to come to us and talk to us about it.
That
And
was
she
just about
said-
leaflets though, really.
Yeah, and she said, basically said, look, we've objected on behalf of highway, on highways, but West Northants highways have agreed it's acceptable. You know, and these are all the reasons why, you know, you could object. So we were invited as individual councillors, because we'd already discussed this, to put in our objections, which I certainly did. Hopefully others did. Now, and that's it basically. There's nothing more that we can do as a
No,
parish
but if
council.
it comes up at this meeting, you're asking me, do I have an objection to 6.1?
No, have you got any
Yes.
comments? This is a report coming back,
Okay.
and I'm asking if you've got any comment on the report.
They're just, the way that they've gone about it, they've just missed so much. They're literally making stuff up left, right and centre. It's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely awful. And how they can say it's going to have absolutely no impact on the transport systems is just beyond me, because I go onto the 508 first thing in the morning and it's already backed up to the actual turn there. And how they can think that it's not going to have an impact on that roundabout, well, just.
Through applications in Toastmat and Silverstone, highways in will pull those in until put a stop on those until they can get highways sorted out. And the action group is trying hard to get this one and up to 15 for the same thing.
Yeah.
They've got bypass through road now. They're not putting, well, there's whether they're going to put the railing in. Rail in, goods in, lorry out. At the moment, it's 11 lorry in, lorry out.
But yeah, I mean, my comment on that is that I absolutely do not support that objection. I support everything that the Cosgrove Working Group are doing. That's my comment personally. I just think it's going to have a terrible impact on every single village around here, on the traffic, on the pollution, on the ecology, the sustainability. How West Midlands, West Northants Council can say that they've got heading for this zero carbon. I mean, that's absolutely.
The application breaks most of what they do.
Yeah. So that's just me. That's my point.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think we are all agreed on that. But in terms of action, it can only be us as individuals now continuing to write in.
Well, that's a little bit later.
Well, there is another issue about there is.
Can we do that now?
No,
Because it's right at the end.
it is, yeah. Well, it's not at the end, we've got a part 2.
Yeah, part 2. All right.
All right, let's move through then. Nothing else on section 6. Let's then move to resolutions. I move it to the public excluded part 2 of the meeting. Can I have a second of that?
Yes,
Steve?
no problem.
This is because for residents, you know, we have got these quotations to consider, as I mentioned when I introduced it. Right, 7.2 is to agree a presentation party for the receipt of Best Kept Village Award and to agree a position of the sign. As I think Jackie pointed out when she wrote to us about this, there really seem to be only two locations that would be practical, which is either on the triangle where we saw the sign, or on the green opposite.
The green.
Yeah, the little library green, I think,
Yeah.
because that, I think that's, people go there, like the other ones in the middle of the road, so people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think where the village sign is, I think the triangle's better personally, but.
but people can't go and have a look at that because it's like in the middle of two
People
roads.
see it while they're driving
You
through
keep
the
running across the road, you've had it in check. Have it on the green there on the floor.
yeah. I mean, Steve's correct. It's not as visible.
It's visible to everyone that drives through the village if it's in the triangle.
Or it could all, I mean, another place might be on the boundary, because you're not allowed to go into Castle Field, so that you would actually see it as you came round the corner. I mean, I'm concerned about the triangle because, you know, there are trees there,
Yeah.
and actually there is another tree there, so, you know,
There will be.
which will obscure it.
I'm not that kind of.
Yeah.
passionate.
Darren, do you have a view?
About, if we can't do it, what about across the way where, somewhere around by where the, I know that there are, the Giga boxes and stuff, maybe
Yeah.
it's around that part that we.
Yeah. Preferably not through there.
Yeah, well, you know, but it's like, they're obviously, they're quite there, aren't they, present, so.
Yeah.
There's something to,
Not the most attractive thing.
opposite the shop, effectively.
Yeah.
So when you come, when you turn in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel hugely strongly about.
No, I don't.
No,
Yeah,
just,
what do you think?
Yes.
You think the green?
I think the green.
You think the green?
But
You two seems quite firm on the green, and the other
It just,
three.
really, that, it's a village thing, isn't it? It doesn't.
Well, you see a lot of people going walking through there, to cut through to the shop, etc.
Yeah,
Don't necessarily have to be people driving a car all the time.
yeah,
And it's a nice place to do the presentation as well.
yeah.
Okay.
It's not that happy with the plan.
next green notice board of the green.
Well, I think next to the notice board would be good. You've got a big problem about setting it further back, because that tree, as those of us that put the Christmas lights up know, gets bigger and bigger every year.
Yes, but that tree won't scream at the top of that.
You're facing out into the road, like on
Yeah.
where the wall is.
Yeah.
So behind the wall between the notice board and the little library. Just in-
Well, either there or between the notice board
Between
and the bus shelter.
Two flat notice boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. You know, the village map and the other one, which I can't remember what it is.
You've got the village map, and then you've got the castle, you can put it beyond the village map.
Yes.
Yeah.
The textual description.
Yes.
Yeah.
That thing.
Yeah.
Behind.
Well, behind, basically, either behind the notice board, which I think is what Ian is saying, is it? He's saying
The
that.
notice board there, and then you've got the stone plaque there. If you had it just behind there, it'd be reading the plaque and the notice board and the plaque.
I think the two
Could
plaques,
be
I think the two plaques are, the notice board is centred on those two plaques, actually, deliberately.
That's on
Put it on which
the
side?
left hand side.
Left hand.
As
And
you look
people
at it.
driving past can still see it.
Yeah,
On the
okay.
first bit.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, I don't much mind, if it goes there on either side. I think it's a matter of just looking at it when it's light and deciding
When
which
does it
side will have most visibility.
Jackie, when does it
I've
come?
got to ring them once we know where it's going.
If you want to leave that on one place, and open it up there, where.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're going to put it up.
That's how put it up.
Best kept farm. The other thing I thought, Joe, is that maybe we ought to crank the publicity up a bit. And then maybe we should actually let local radio stations, TV stations even know, at the risk of losing a clerk and a councillor to Hollywood.
That's your job.
I don't want to move.
Right, go on. Really?
Well, I mean, something to brag about for the village. We dropped 2 points, and that was it. I know that's very generous. But we were the best overall village in Buckinghamshire,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, well, in our
no, overall. We were the first overall.
with West London.
With Western Underwood.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to crow about.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's happy news, which is nice.
Yeah, so I think we should at least try and get it in the citizen, maybe Three Counties Radio.
We've come and
I don't want anything to do with that.
Do ward councillors have any contact with Sally Muir?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want really?
Yeah, she's still about, yeah. We could, if you want to get in touch with her.
Well, if you let Liam know, Sally, you know, see her by Sally Muir on all this stuff. Perhaps we get an article and a photo.
Yeah.
Or we could send a photo.
Yeah.
It's going to be received by Russell, because I think I'm away that week on that day. Can't get out of it, so Russell, this vice chair, will receive it.
Russell Jenkins.
I'm not here on the way, so.
What about the lady who organised the Mr. Pickings? Why shouldn't, what, does it have to be? Yeah, it doesn't have to be Parish. Yeah.
And also the couple that look after the planting.
Yeah, just anybody who's made the village not
Yeah.
nice, because then it's a village thing, it's not
Yeah.
a parish council thing.
And my dog.
What's he doing on the radio?
Right. Okay, so we'll invite, I'm not sure who's doing the inviting. Is it down to you, Jackie, or is this going to be who?
I
Do you know?
literally-
Sorry?
Russell, I think Russell knows because he.
Invite people who did the litter picking, look after the troughs, and quite a few of them. But I think generally, the Russell post on Facebook that there is this, and
Yeah.
particularly those who helped make the village nice, if they'd like to do that.
Open gardens, people.
Yeah, could you check with her, with, not her, with the organizer, whether there's meant to be some kind of little teams and whatever?
No, there isn't.
There isn't.
They've got a schedule and they're getting teas elsewhere.
Okay, don't want to see. Well,
Yeah, they're gonna get.
they're- right, okay. Good. Is that everything on that? To consider the outstanding works at the football clubhouse and the actions from the fire safety report.
Pass that to the sports ground committee. I think we have one every day and we're going to have another one in 3 months.
Yeah,
So if we could get the spreadsheet up to date, then the
It-
sports ground committee is
Yeah.
authorised to spend the budget.
I mean,
I sent that down, and
Yeah.
then Neil said that it was all still outstanding.
Yeah.
What's that, Jackie?
We had a fire report done,
Right.
there's quite a few actions that are needed at the football clubhouse. Make it fire compliant,
You got a copy of it, don't
you can have a,
you?
there's some quite big things on there and
Yeah,
some things.
there is, on the street,
So there's going to be quite a lot of expense.
well, look,
You can't have a meeting in October, haven't you?
Yeah.
yeah. So are we happy to defer this to that meeting? But if that meeting isn't going to be held, and it's not being fixed by the time the next agenda is done, I think it ought to come back to this one and be dealt with, because some of these things like the smoke detectors and all the rest of it really ought to be done.
And it's getting quite a
Yeah.
bit of sport.
Have you got a quote for it?
Sorry?
Have we got a quote for it?
But I need to come back to this.
Well, we'll need to get quotes.
Because we can have a call special meeting if necessary.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can resolve that I get quotes
Yeah,
for this and then.
that would be,
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah, we'll see.
You start work.
The next meeting is in the diary, isn't it, Steve, already, the next sports.
I don't know that it's in the diary. We said we had it in October.
Realised it was.
That's right, I got it wrong. Yeah, when you said it's on the such and such a day, I thought we meant this month.
Yeah, anyway.
I couldn't believe anyone. We didn't used to be this organised with the previous.
No, I told you. I told you, yeah, it's better than I was.
No comment.
Okay.
Right, yeah, so defer, but we might do some stuff and start getting the quotes, and I appreciate that, Jackie. And Russell may be able to, in fact, actually, it would be good if Neil, his name's Neil, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil were to, to have a look at this, decide what's needed, because things like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, things like putting up the no smoking stickers, you know, he could do that. He wants to recover the cost of that from us, but I mean, they should be able to do it out of their own.
You would have thought so.
Out of their own funds, that's trivial, but if there's anything that's more non-trivial,
Like the door needs a push bar,
yeah,
needs to be a fire door, and that's.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Are we all right with that? So deferring for Jackie getting quotes and asking Neil to do what he can. Yeah, in the interim anyway, to clear some of the smaller items off the list.
Look, after that happens, there'd be nothing stopping us setting sports ground meeting in September. At the end of September, before the next parish council meeting. We'll just see what Jackie gets.
Okay.
I'll sit down with her and we'll go through it. And see what the best way.
Well, when Russell's back, that would be good as chair of the.
Oh, I'm chair of-
Oh, you're chair of sports. All right, okay. I was saying, well, Russell, it could be Steve, but in that case, leave it with you. Right. 7.4 then is to support the application of the S106 money for Castlethorpe School. Okay, everyone in support?
No brainer, isn't it?
Okay, all right, unanimously supporting it. Next one's a silly one, really, but my wife arranges the suite for a number of people in the chimney suite, a number of people, and she's got quite a lot of people in the village this time. So he said he'd make a small donation to the village, which he did by not charging me the 55 that it would have been. So I effectively owe the village 55.
55,000.
Yeah, 55,000 in your dreams. So it's just it ought to be something identifiable, but has anyone got any views on this? Otherwise, I suggest I just pay it to the parish council and we'll use it with the clubhouse or something in due course.
We use it for refreshments or something on the Best Kept Village presentation.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
What have you got, Charlie?
Into more of an event.
yeah, someone needs to organise. I mean, actually, this is the killer, you know, I mean,
Get it?
people often say we can do such and such, and you say, well, it does need to be organised, and you know, and I'm very reluctant to push any more Jackie's way. Absolutely. And Jackie's got the clubhouse stuff anyway.
But maybe it would maybe worth asking the village whether somebody would like to organise it, and if they would.
Yeah.
We can put it in the pot, and then if we use it for refreshments for
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Why don't we have the community on that day? We know what we're doing.
Well, we do.
Community.
What day of the week is it?
No, it's a Saturday.
Saturday. I mean,
Yeah.
it does mean, I mean, the community is run by the volunteers. Try and ask them.
Yeah, I remember. For that week, we do it on Saturday rather than Wednesday. And
What date is it?
23rd.
For September.
Yeah.
What's that for?
The Best Kept Village.
Oh, right, when it's going up, is it?
Yeah, that's when it's being
Yeah.
presented by.
We'll see if you know,
yeah,
I'll have to try and remember to, are you coming down to community this Wednesday?
I will.
Anyone else coming?
they'll come down.
Yeah. Come down and with your memory.
Oh, no, can't.
I know you can't.
It's a football. What time's that? Do you know, Jackie?
2:30. Yeah. 2:30.
Okay. Right, 7.6. Now, in some ways, I would like to have had this in part two. This is to consider a loan from the Public Works Loan Board. Because it is tied up fairly intimately with the quotes, which we could have discussed, but obviously we can't discuss in part one.
Can't we pass through part two?
No, I mean, the thing is, this is quite a commitment on the village, and I think it ought to be discussed in part one in full public view as well. So the proposal is that we ask the PWLB for a loan of 50,000, which would allow us to complete phase one, and basically, hopefully, allow us to complete phase one of this. If we get more grants in the second phase, we may be able to repay back early, but I mean that's. We don't know whether that's the case or not.
What's the penalties to pay back early?
I mean, Jackie would have to get the details for me.
Because they can be quite severe, that's
Yeah.
so we need to be careful.
Well, but it's obviously quite onerous. It's about, on my calculation, which is not as a financial expert, I reckon it's about 250 a month. So it's non-trivial.
For 30 years.
Sorry?
For 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years, yes. But I think if we want to do this, we are going to need to fill the gap. And so that's the proposal that I put forward to the council.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say that when we first negotiated the amount to try and build a clubhouse in the village, that it wasn't an unreasonable amount we actually came up with, but manufacturing costs, building costs have just escalated so quickly. Probably inflated more than most other things. And even I think from the time that we started to put the ITT together to now, they've inflated massively. And so it's just something that we have to do. And as I say, if we can actually claw back that money in any way, then we can pay it back.
What can I ask? If it's 50k over 30 years at 250, that seems an awful lot. Is it very, very high interest rates because it's building, or is it?
I think it's 4.5. Yeah. I mean, I was just going on the basis of some of the other exemplars that they had on their website and working through that way.
It just seems very, very high. I mean, it's like a car loan out, but I don't know. So, anyway, but yeah, it just seems very high. Very, very I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Or whatever it is, the percentage rate, I think it's around 4.5, is it?
The examples that I saw on the PWLB website seem to indicate it was about 4.5%.
Yeah.
Which I have to say, when I first looked, 6 months ago, it's actually, we did talk about having a 50k loan right at the outset of this, right back at the beginning. And then it seemed to be indicating that rates were about 1%. And it just shows you what's happened with interest rates, because they were virtually zero when we first started looking at this. Practically good. Anyway, any other? I mean, we won't actually take the loan out until we need it.
But we need to be aware of the plans.
Yeah, but we can't let a contract, which I'm hoping will be, probably I'm going to have to call an ordinary meeting around about the 18th of this month, because we've got face-to-face meetings this week. The project board will meet next Monday and hopefully make a recommendation. I can then call the meeting. So we need to be in a position to be able to do this, and we can't, although we won't need to draw down the money until we need it, I don't think we can in all conscience.
And the other thing is that we need to make it clear that we're borrowing money so that extraordinary meeting public has got a
Steve, but because it will be an awarded contract, it will be in part 2. That's why I wanted this in part 1, so that people knew what we were doing. But they will be able to come along and say something in the open forum, even if the meeting then moves very quickly into a part 2.
I think we could do the same again, though, couldn't we? we could have the actual agreement to borrow the money in part one. And then award the contract in part two. It's only a bit of a picture.
we could do it, yeah.
So I really think you ought to do that. Because
Yeah.
there have been.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
But I think we need the agreement in principle now, so Jackie can go ahead and
Yes.
start getting the forms and so on, yeah?
Yeah.
So I propose, I need a second of the financing matter, which is Steve, and are we all in agreement? Right. Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, 7.7 to consider removal of the propane cylinder at the sports ground. None of the options include that. That is now just a white elephant up there.
Well, have you considered what you're going to do for your power, etc., and cooking, etc., up there?
Yeah.
Would it be best to wait till you've got something done rather than rip it out and then you have to go back to gas?
Well,
I don't agree with it at all.
you don't agree with what?
Take it out.
Well, taking it out now, you're saying.
Well, take it out then.
But potentially take it out if.
No, if it needs to, but what are you going to do for power? What if the gas goes down, then if it goes up?
Well, I mean,
You can't go and get another gas tank in, what it's going to cost you?
well,
If you stay there, it doesn't matter, does it?
well, it does.
Why?
The reason it does is that in order to give the builders access round to the back where they're going to be building out into the build, they need that space. They need that to be able to get.
I don't need that square with your gas tank, is surely.
No, but they need access through that part. And it would make life very, very difficult for them. All of them that came for site visits, that came up. Now, all of the suppliers so far have tendered electrical heating it now. The thing is not going to be used that much. It's going to be a huge burden, but we hope. But you know, that is what they.
The way the national water facility you're going to have in here is going to be there for 365 days a year. You're going to have to be keeping that downside warm and well more insulated.
Well, I don't think, yeah, it will be insulated, but
You have to keep some heating on all the time, though, won't you?
yeah, but it's going to have an electric boiler. Yeah, so if you wanted to put the tank in, you would have to change all your heating.
No,
in there as
you've
well.
got tanks there. You've got gas into the building.
I don't think it's used at the moment.
Hey?
I don't think it's used at all at the moment.
It's not, that hasn't been used for 7 years.
So it's not doing anything now in terms of providing heat.
Hasn't been used for 7 years yet.
It's been used every year. What do you keep getting a bill all the time?
We're not,
We don't.
we don't get a bill.
Well,
Yeah, decommission, but we've got to, how much did it cost to remove it?
I'm still waiting on a contract with Flow Gas and they say someone from their transition department is going to bring it back.
Or can you chase that? I mean, we'd better put it on the, because I don't think that the contractors can work with that there. They've all said that they need that to be able to get round their vehicles round the back. We don't want them driving around the front. They want to put Harris fencing up in that part there.
They've got to do, yes.
Can I ask, does that include the piping that comes out?
No,
from the tank?
they'll only disconnect the tank,
Yeah.
So the piping will just leave there.
but that's got to be made sure it's secure. It's out of gas.
But there'll be nothing feeding it, will there?
Yeah, nothing at either end of it. It's just a pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
And I think nearly all of them are talking about a concrete plank, or whatever, there's a proper term for it, isn't it? Concrete plank construction within the floor. Okay, well, it's difficult for us to have a resolution without a quote, so we do need that. Yeah. Right, I now have to leave the room, or you need to elect the chair. You need to have.
So have you taken a vote on this then?
Oh, so, well, I'll take the vote. That we instruct Jackie to continue with the quote, but I mean, we can't do any more without a quote. We can't have a resolution without a quote.
we have to defer it until we.
Hopefully in the expert.
Yeah. Yeah,
So there's nothing really to vote on
yeah. Okay,
for that.
So
Right.
7.8, isn't that what we were discussing before? Sorry, I'm
That's,
confused.
yeah.
7.8, but this is a resolution. So I'm going to walk out and you're going to elect a chair. I'm going to do, resolution and speak chair.
Okay, right, well, thank you very much. Well, you all heard Bill's summary of, well, this is simply, we've been looking to actually get the village shop, facilities extended for quite a while now. We have opportunity, we have S106 money, Bill has already summed it up very well, but nothing to add to that. I propose that we do what the resolution says and support CBSA with an application to 6 of Chestnuts to the Parish Council and applying for S106 funds. Yeah, you're on, Phil. I don't want to be chairing. I don't want to be chairing for its next one, Phil.
Jackie, how many litres did he charge us for?
Oh, on the,
Yeah, that, you know.
yeah.
Right,
Stop the, oh, no, yes, stop the car. Just leave it on.
So the stock 3,000 trucks have been working tirelessly. I have to say, I just take the hats off to them about the amount of work they've done, and they've done it properly. They haven't just flung stuff on social media and all over Facebook. They've got their own surveys, they've got experts in, but all this costs money. Yeah, and a lot of it's been funded by themselves. There has been a few contributions, but I think for the sake of our village, the fact that this could really adversely affect the landscape around us and the transport system, the roads, as I said, ecology, sustainability, it's built for floodplain, the whole lot. I just feel that we should be supporting them. Now you can't support them by just contributing. You could pay for like half a survey or something like that. So I think we should have to do something. And that's what I propose. As I just feel that it could absolutely adversely affect us here, really, really badly.
I mean, I don't disagree, but if we, I mean, to me, it's either we actually come out with an amount of money we contribute to an overall fighting fund, but we can't actually offer to pay for something without knowing what it is and how much it costs.
No, I get that, but what we could do is come up with a figure that we would then say, okay, so tell us what you need. And then we say, okay, fine, yes, we would put this amount of money towards that, or no, we don't like that.
Hey, can I just check on a matter of law, both with you, Steve, as your experience, and Jackie Maynard, are we allowed to pay for things that are happening outside our parish?
Well, I don't think it's right. We can't do it.
We can pay for survey, we can contribute towards survey, but we cannot contribute towards a fighting bank. I think that's that right.
I think we probably could, under F137, we could make the argument that it does impact on our village. So I think the answer to that is yes, we can.
But the other thing is, with the public, if they're listening or whatever, it comes out, that would perhaps be what the £100 or whatever we spend, we get to them, we could spend it better in our own village.
Well, I mean, I think
such an impact in.
Well, where you coming from? You got to do things.
So therefore, spending money to try and fight this huge development, which is going to affect every villager's life, I think that is doing something for our village.
I do think that under section 137.
there'd have to be a 137, because of course, if you can only spend money on powers that we've got.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've got a power for this, because
We almost certainly won't have.
yeah. So so 137 is Are you allowed to spend 137 outside?
Well, I'd have to reread it, and we'll do this subject to that. I think it's worded such that if it benefits the society, then you're allowed to do it. It has to be of benefit to the local society. That's my recollection.
All councillors are Milton Keynes involved in this and against it or not?
I don't think they.
Had any comment at all?
They have,
So it's the other side of our bridge, we couldn't care less, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
Yeah, you can't just donate to the 50% of the review in their case or something like that. That's how you do
I
it.
think they did respond. And
very woolly, so I remind, we don't necessarily object to some comments.
And it's pretty, let me down, don't care, because it's something else on the corner of their territory, and Milton Keynes Council don't care because it's on the corner of their territory.
That's right.
So, it's done.
They will care when the A5 and that roundabout, isn't that Milton Keynes, the A5?
No,
Here we go. First letter from Milton Keynes Council on 28th of November, quote, "Thank you for consulting Milton Keynes Council on the above application. I write to you in relation to the application, blah, blah, blah. Whilst Milton Keynes Council does not wish to formally object to the consultation as submitted, the following issues are of relevance and we would kindly request consideration at the time of the matters below." So in one sentence, it's very woolly, it's non-committal,
So
it's not great really.
yeah.
Is that something you get?
We can object to
Because it is absolutely going to affect all the villages around here.
Again, that's like
Horrendous. But as a parish council, I just feel that we should be supporting their efforts. They're literally running out of money, and they have spent, and then, like I said, they're doing it really, really well. They're not just a bunch of amateurs who just got together. Yeah, I mean, they've got proper surveys, everything that Frontier Estates and who is it? It's Frontier, who the client, who's the people who are doing, can't find them anywhere on social media. Well, anyway, they have come back with proper evidence. I mean, they said that like Frontier said that they walked over, is it 16 hectares, is it? They walked over there and couldn't find any wildlife. I mean, that's how bad it is. They had a meeting, which they said that they held at Dean's Hangar for some weird reason, and said that, no parking. And literally, so people in Cosgrove got the same day, I think it was, they got something through the door, and they said, oh well, Cosgrove Hall wasn't actually available. Yes, it was. They are really, really underhand, and everything that they have done, this group have found evidence that contradicts what they have said, but they are running out of money. And as it is going to affect us. It doesn't matter how nicely you put it. The fact that we won't be able to get out of that road, I mean, going down to that roundabout is going to be horrendous. It's going to affect our wildlife. It's going to affect the sustainability of where we are. I mean, it's just, and the 508, can you imagine that?
Yeah, I know where you're
They didn't even know that 508 actually went through villages. That's how good their surveys were.
Yes.
And I feel that we should support them. And I think that we've done things in our village, which is lovely. But I think that if we can, I do feel that we should be supporting this cause.
So what are you proposing?
That we ask, what could we help with? And we come up with an amount of money that would be a fund that we would then be able to help. Because I don't think we're actually allowed, as in the parish council, allowed to donate. Cosgrove found this, even Cosgrove found that they aren't allowed to donate to a fighting fund.
No, it's totally.
But you are allowed to donate, to contribute or pay for something. So it could be solicitors' fees, for instance, the fight in the battle, or it could be those sorts of things. And if we could come up with a sum that we would help them with, that would be, I think, in the interests of the whole village and the surrounding area.
What are you proposing? Well, I mean, in all seriousness, you know, we've just had a resolution borrow money because we haven't got enough money to fund what is probably the key parish project.
Yep.
You know, for a long, and you know, we're talking about, you know, potentially, you know, repaying that. And I think, you know, we have been very fortunate over the last 10 years financially, because, you know, things like the village hall have been self-sustaining and sometimes even accruing a surplus. And that's not the case now. We don't have preschools. So I think financially we are quite tight, and we're just taking on a borrowing.
Well, Castlethorpe Parish Council put £1,000. Yeah, they put £1,000, and I'd like to see us doing something.
Well, I've got to putting £1,000 in when we've got what we're doing at the moment.
Say 1,000.
Where you're achieving what we're achieving in the village. I know where you're coming from. I always,
And we can all sit here and talk about it and go, oh, yeah, well, we can't help, in the hope that somebody else will, but they will run out of money, and then it'll just happen.
What do you think, Tar, for that? I mean, I kind of agree with you that I think we should provide some assistance, and by doing so, say if we said £500, and at least that is showing.
That's what I was hoping for. I have to admit, I was hoping for 5.
And I mean, I would personally support them.
Okay.
So is there an actual committee been set up?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, honestly, the job they have done here, seriously, they have proved that the developers, what they are saying is wrong, totally wrong. But they will run out of funding, but they need to keep going, because they are finding things, they are getting there.
And is that being taken on meetings that they're finding that's proven to be wrong? So, are they just being ignored? You know, they're
No, but not everything goes through the council and the developers, obviously, but the developers have said that they have been wrong. They have done that.
Hang on. Let's just try and bring this back. So what we have got is a proposal to spend up to £500 to pay a specific bill, which the action committee may bring to us, to try and stop this. I mean, if that's the resolution, and is that what you want to move?
Yeah.
I'm prepared to second.
You're prepared to second that. Okay. Well, shall we go for that?
Can I just read you what it says about section 137? Because I think I'm right. It's very quick.
Yeah, no, I was looking it up at the same time. Yeah, we can go, I think.
Yeah, the council, right, okay. The council must first be certified that there is a direct benefit to the area or part of the area, or to some or all of the inhabitants. The council is the body that determines whether or not such benefits will accrue.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it permissible.
Yeah.
Section 137. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we have it in writing, whatever the text.
Sorry, is there on Zoom dropped out?
Don't worry about that. As long as we get back what they've used the money for.
We'd have to, because we'd have to have receipts and things for it. So,
Are you going to take that forward?
yeah, I can take that forward.
Let's move on then. So let's move now to financial matters. And we've got the payment schedule.
One on the left.
And looking through this, basically we've just got Jackie's salary and expenses, printer costs and so on. Payment for cleaning the bus stops and so on. And Mr. Bin's landscaping charge, which continues through. The bill from Milton Keynes Council. Bills for cutting the sports ground. Some fencing bills. People spending money on fencing. Cleaning the village hall. I guess this is a catch-up money.
Yeah. It wasn't on last month.
Okay. Weed killing in the village. Auditor's fees. And some miscellaneous supplies. Any questions on any of that?
No.
All right, I'll formally move in. I need a seconder, which is Darren, and all in favour. And okay, so I need to sign that. Hmm?
I left it on the printout.
You left
So-
it on. All right. Okay. Right.
I changed it.
Any correspondence, Jackie, that we've received?
No.
Right, other business for noting or including on the future agenda. Talk about the city plan. Russell sent 2 notes in. One was really about the fact that he had received no response from Stonewater about using the S106 money for starting a preschool as opposed to increasing the capacity of an existing preschool. It's had no response, but there seems to be a problem that they're having in actually recruiting and starting in any case, and it sounds as if the project isn't going to proceed. So I don't think there's any more on that. Russell's done what can be done.
What I think we could, you know, when you've seen on the television this last fortnight, the number of preschools that just gone bankrupt. 3, 2 of Yorkshire gone bankrupt. We've got 18 naughty kids in.
Yeah. Well, we had 18, we'd be rolling in it.
Probably got concrete seat.
Yeah. Okay, so there is that. And the other is he did note that there was some concerns expressed on Facebook about hedges in New Road. And I think just to reiterate, I think actually Jane Slee responded correctly that hedges are the responsibility of the landowner on which they're grown. Most of these hedges actually are growing out of somebody's garden, so it is the landowner who's responsible for them. So if you have got a hedge that is overgrowing the road and risking blocking it or risking blocking the pavement, it would be greatly appreciated if you would cut it back.
Actually, sorry, could I just ask Jackie? You got back from Maltings Council that it should be the parish council takes up with the individual that they should cut back anything that's overgrown a highway or a footpath.
Yeah.
Did you query
I
that?
did query it, but I haven't had any.
But if that's no response, yeah, because they have actually got a leaflet that actually tells people, and obviously they've got greater power than we have the parish council, that they can put through someone's letterbox and they can legally enforce. It says if you don't cut that hedge back within 4 weeks, we will do it and charge you the money. Now, Jackie actually raised the pool in King's Council and got told, no, it's the parish council should be taking.
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, this is, frankly, a load of old rubbish.
Yeah.
I mean, we have got a letter from Graham Cox basically saying, I'm not going to allow parishes to do anything on the public highway.
Yeah.
And if you won't allow us to do, good works, why should we do his work?
Yeah.
When it's his job to make sure that the public highway is kept free. Sorry, Liam.
So I in Newport, somebody raised this similar issue with me, and I just raised it with the council and said that there's overgrowing vegetation here. Can you have a word with the landowner? And they did, and they got sorted. So
Yeah.
if you want to raise a specific one,
But it's more than a word. They actually.
I think that's
They
what
say that they put through people's doors, say, just do it, or we'll do it and charge you. We can't do that.
No.
But if there's a specific example, please do send on to me.
It's actually the complaints on Facebook, and one has to be very careful here because people do just raise things, and I actually always like.
I think they were asking, they weren't, I'm not sure they were moaning, they were just saying, can you let us know whose responsibility it is? Because they were wondering whether it was the parish council or whether it was the homeowner. That's the way I read it.
Well, the only one occasionally responsible for is that track plans, isn't it?
Well, there's a few hedges
No,
around the village that
we're
are.
now responsible for that.
Pardon?
We're now responsible for that as part of the scope of landscaping.
Well, the hedgerow beside, right.
Yeah.
But the other thing is on all this situation, I mean, we had a situation with 29 Bullingdon Road, the number of complaints I had, chap took the hedge out, etc., and the housing people turned around and said, well, that's their problem, it's their garden, how do you deal with it? So, where do you stand?
Yeah.
Because now, as I said, what's happened, not put into their road, you've now got somebody else completely.
Well, I mean, just to keep on this particular topic that Russell asked to be raised. I think rather than asking you to sort of go off, I will go and have a look at it. Perhaps Jackie, we can have a look at it and see whether it does merit raising it. I don't like taking something on Facebook and then sort of exploding it into something that is that's
The whole foliage around the house is very great. I think it has been touched in years. I'm surprised I can actually see out of the windows, to be honest.
Yeah, but I'd like to know the principle, I'd like to know who is responsible for, if you like, instructing the householder to cut that hedge back.
It is the high, if it's overgrown highway, it's highways.
Exactly, and so I'd like that push back in their face when they say it's not us government, but it probably well is.
Yeah. Right,
I've got now, just the next agenda. The footpath that goes around the football field, the little bushes and little spiky kind of shrubs that are growing around the bottom of the fence. The football club have actually cut them back, but only on the football club side. So they're still overgrowing the footpath. Now, RTM are going to be actually doing the hedge cutting in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you won't be able to cut under there. Originally, when we put that post and rail on there, etc., there was supposed to be no hedgerow planted. Full stop, so you could strip all the way down.
I'm talking about under the post and rail fencing.
Yeah,
Underneath.
yeah. Well, that was either cut or sprayed a year or
It was sprayed,
But I mean, it's all overgrown.
yeah, so it just needs doing again.
Will they do the laurel?
I was just going to suggest that on the next agenda, we say we do it once a year, that's not enough. We should do that and the bit of hedging between Truck Close and Castlefield, which one of the neighbours this year has cut back. But we should do it before nesting season and after nesting season, so do it twice a year.
And we'll do the laurel hedges as well in this field, because that's.
Yeah, that will be done by Jordan. Well, we'll find Jordan. It's done it the last couple of years.
Right, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so
on the agenda. Okay. Right, next meeting is 2nd of October. Now I need to close the part one of the meeting, moving to part two. So I'm now going to stop the live stream for any of you who are persevered so far. And thank you very much. Next meeting, 7:30, 2nd of October.